week to talk to you and to share people with you that are amazing leaders, entrepreneurs, people that just have a spirit of can do. I'm going to get it done no matter what happens, no matter what gets in my way, especially with things going on right now, watching people pivot through confusing times and changing their business models and things like that. I just feel like this is even more important, although I started it long before this happened. And I just want to bring to you different people in our community that are just making things happen, because I feel like there's so many of us that are right now particularly hitting a wall and saying, oh gosh, what do I do now? And maybe just saying, all right, I'm going to sit back and wait until this is over. Or maybe somebody who has a great idea and wants to start something and just hasn't figured out how to do it or got the courage to do it. And so that's why I'm sharing these amazing people with you, because they're just like you and you can do exactly what they're doing. And I want them to share their story. So this morning, I have an incredible pleasure to introduce you to a good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, who I have so much respect for, who has a story that you guys just have to hear. So Jessica, thank you so much for your time this morning.
We're live. Wow.
You are live. That's correct.
I am a chicken interviewer. My Profound Professional series is recorded, so in case something happens, but here we are. So whatever happens, you will all see it.
That's right. We do everything live here because I feel like that is the way that people see the real you, and it makes them feel more like you're not some unattainable thing.
Yeah, well, I posted a live the other day, and in the countdown, it was still counting down, so I was still adjusting my hair, and I watched the live later, and there I was adjusting my hair live for all to see. And I'm like, it's what happens, it's what we do. So there we go.
Well, at least not some of the live videos we're seeing right now where people are doing stuff and posting them where their, spouse is walking in with their shirt off, or, all kinds of crazy stuff. So anything can happen on live, right?
That's right. That's right. I warned my family, all people dressed will only walk in. So.
That's a good plan. So Jessica, tell everybody who's watching a little bit about you, because not a little bit, a lot. I want to know, where did you come from? What's your story? How did you get to where you are? Like, what are some of those steps you went through? Because those are the kinds of things that I think people really need to hear. It isn't just, I had this great idea. I started this business and it's running successfully. That's never the way it goes. So I want you to just give us a little bit of your background, personally, professionally. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you came from, and what you're doing now.
Well, let's see. It all started 47 years ago. No, just kidding.
Okay, that might be a little bit deep.
So I was a Navy brat. I was actually born in Maryland, but I only spent a hot minute here because we were military and moved all around. I've lived from Massachusetts to California, driven across country many times. I got to live in Europe and travel. So yeah, growing up military, I think made me really versatile. And I actually like change more than the average person. As a matter of fact, every 4 years still, even though I've been sitting still in the same place for so long, I sort of get this, gotta do something new, it's time to do something else, kind of a feeling. Not that I've shifted careers really, but I've learned something new or tried something new or pushed myself a little further. As you know, I own a consulting company. I've been in sales and marketing nationally for many years. I speak across the country. I do webinars. I was doing webinars and virtual working before it was a cool thing to do. Because I am the mom of 7. And when I was raising the first herd of kids, we have 6. And then now we have an 8-year-old. So we have adults and then we have a child. Kind of the first batch, when I was working on the first batch and they were all still young and in school, I worked for all corporations that were far away. And because I'm sales and marketing, and because back in the day, there was these Zooms and all these fancy things, it was dial up.
Nice and slow.
Yeah, I know, ancient times, right? Dial up. LinkedIn was a brand new baby, and I was on it, and I was traveling in person to conferences, and then following up from those conferences after I would speak via email and LinkedIn, and then we would have a phone conference, and you didn't have to fix your hair. And the interesting thing, though, is you had to learn to listen differently. So there's a sales process of listening that I learned because I couldn't see. I learned sighs and pauses and hesitations, and I learned how to read really some of the dead air even in phone conferences with executives and CFOs. And so that was a huge sales skill I attained for that time period. And now again, even with virtual meetings, you get some of the facial cues and some of the gestures and the posture and leaning forward and the sitting back and all those little things you get the advantage of. But yeah, I'm a sales junkie. I love the marketing process. I love integrating the traditional sales group, winning friends and influencing people, and integrating that into automation and what we have available with social media and LinkedIn, and kind of marrying that together as one of my skill sets.
Nice. So give us a little bit of to say that you're a coach. I mean, that can be, we've talked to a lot of different people that use that in their title, I guess. And so tell me, let's dig a little bit deeper about what that means to you. What is a coach in your world?
So I don't know, I guess I use consultant and coach pretty interchangeable. For me, it is really having that person who has a bit of a broader knowledge and scope and sees the bigger picture of what your vision and dream is, and is able to kind of guide you through that, build out a plan, pull out really what makes you the happiest. Some of the things that we discover when I'm working with my clients is they think they're pushing and driving one service or product, but what they find is when we talk about it, I'm like, well, really, what is the most lucrative service and product that you sell? That is also, it has to have two components. It's also the easiest and fastest for your team to deliver. So it takes the least amount of time and you enjoy it. Like, so all of these different components, and when they identify that and they realize they're not really driving their marketing towards that, we shift things around and change it. And I'm always trying to help them think of ways to not trade time for money. How can we expand this so it can touch more of a market? Because most of the people I work with are a lot like me, very heart-centered, very loving. We want to give everyone everything for free because we just want to help everyone succeed, and we all just want to win together. And that's great, but what I learned is a couple of things. One of the really important things I learned is when you do give away everything for free to the people you love the most, you hurt them the most. Because when we have some investment in it, then we actually finish it and we complete it and we apply it and we see value in it subconsciously. Even if it was our good friend and they say, oh, I know how valuable you are. I know how bad I need this. I know I want to do it. And you give it to them for free, you give them a disservice, because they probably won't, even though they mean to and they say they will. In their subconscious, there isn't that connection of high level value because they didn't invest something in the game. And so what I'm teaching
Good
people,
information.
well, what I'm teaching people is that you can do something else instead. You can give a product that's maybe a recorded training or something that can just click and buy, that doesn't take your direct time, that is at a lower price point, that serves that customer who really needs what you have, and you want to give it to them in a way they can receive it, but not take your direct, because the value you have hourly and your energy is the most valuable thing you have. Your time and your energy are your most valuable assets, above and beyond just about it. That and your health, of course, above and beyond anything else. The other thing I developed because of this dire desire for me to give things and gift them for free was an affiliate program in my service, so that someone who shared my stuff could receive income via their PayPal for sharing it, and that link would track and follow them, and they would get gifted that money, and then they could choose to use that money for my service or my products, or to pay gas and pay their electric bill, whatever they wanted. But I was giving the means to someone who really needed what I had, because I didn't ever want to be the person who turned someone away because they just didn't have the funds. So I needed to find logical business solutions that was good for them and good for me, so that they could have whatever I had to give them that they needed without it hurting them. And I was giving them the resources, 2 different ways to do that.
So, wow, this is really powerful stuff. So let's go back a little bit And so we're talking about your business and the structure, but let's go back and talk about you a little bit more in depth, just because I want to get some of that spirit, that entrepreneurial side, what, that jump off, like, when somebody decides they're going to take the leap and they're going in this kind of direction. When we talked to Kimberly yesterday, she's like, she joked about her husband saying there were 16 business cards on the table. And so that's, a lot of entrepreneurs go through that. And so let's go back to that. And then I want to circle back around, because this is such juicy stuff that you're talking about with the affiliate programs and things that I think people don't even understand that. So I wrote notes and I want to circle back, but I want to go backwards, because I really want you to talk for a minute about, you said you were in the corporate world and you were traveling all over and you were speaking and doing those things. And then how did you decide to do this on your own? And then how did you scale it up? Like, how did it go from, okay, this is a great idea, to I'm working at home and I'm scaling it into now a very successful business?
I don't have that story. I have the opposite story. I really just love the sales piece of what I do, the speaking and the working with the customers and the whole process. I love the research and the prospecting, and I loved working for another company and other companies. And the core of my career was with one company. I'm very loyal. I'm very focused. I'm very driven. I loved the success that I was having with them and helping them grow and expand. And I had no desire whatsoever to own my own business. And when things shifted with the company that I was with so long, I then, did some time of reflection and prayer. And then I, went to 3 different companies in a row, and only left because the writing was on the wall that it was very important that I not stay, even after doing lots of research and praying about it. And to be honest, after the 3rd one, I was disappointed in humanity and people, and heartbroken and a little angry at God, even, because I was like, look, I talked to you first. What do you want from me? This isn't working out. Why did you send me here? What is going on? I'm done. I literally told my husband, I am never selling anything again. I am never working for anyone again. I'm going to market your business, and you're back out there, and I'm home with our 8-year-old, or she was younger than that at the time. I'm going to homeschool and sit on the beach and avoid people. I didn't come into the office of our home at all. I didn't get on LinkedIn. I didn't get on anything. I was off. I was hiding from the world. And actually,
I think around then is when I first met you, because when I first met you, you were marketing Chris's business.
Yes. And I did go out for that. And I went out for Dream Queens because I love them. And I went to network and I marketed my husband, and I got him busy. And then that was it. That was all I was doing. And I was loving life then. It was fantastic. And the local chamber reached out to me to teach a LinkedIn class. And I had at that point turned down several positions. And I was humbled and honored. I don't want to sound, I was just injured. I was still healing.
Absolutely.
And so I said, I love chambers. I've always been involved in them. I've been a member of so many. I can't even list them all, including the state one and BWCC when it was called that, and all the local ones, and even in Pennsylvania, and all these associations. I believe in those kinds of memberships, but I was done, really done. And I said, no, thank you. I'm not in the chamber right now. Although I love chambers, I'm not working for anyone, but I don't want to work for anyone. I don't have a business. I don't want a business. Like, this was my rant. Okay. This was my chant. And I thank you very much. And they contacted me a couple of times. And so finally, one of my other things I tell my kids, and my quote is, people matter most. So I was like, okay, we'll come, I will teach this class, and I will then go back and hide again. That's the deal. I'm not going to join the chamber. I don't want to work for anyone. I don't want a business. Like, I went through my
right.
They had it at there's a larger church in the Huntingtown area. They held it there. It was a big room. It was such an amazing turnout. And one of the aha moments I had, not to start a business, but that, I thought everybody knew this. Like, sometimes the things you think everyone knows.
Right. And it's funny. That's exactly what I do, is help people realize all of the value they have in their head. And when I talk about getting people to tell their story is really not just where you came from. It's all the value that you have that people just don't understand yet.
So the gift. So it was Jonah and the whale, really. That was my time period of hiding. That's what I call it. I was pulled out by the ankles. At the end of that,
pulled out by the ankles. That visual is so
Right.
funny.
I was happy
Awesome.
to hide in the whale. It was very nice in there. I had everything I needed. And so during this exchange of teaching this, first of all, I didn't realize how much joy just burst. Like, I'm a roller coaster junkie. Okay, that's one of the things you can know about me. I love them. I've ridden the King to Ka, which is at one point was in New Jersey. It was Six Flags, was one of the tallest, fastest in the world. Like, I ride all the roller coasters. I love them. I had this bursting joy and thrill in me that almost comparable to when I ride a roller coaster while I was up there teaching. I was like, huh, who knew? Right? I didn't know that was in there. And then I started seeing people frantically take notes, and the energy in the room was coming back to me, and I was feeling it, and I was sending it out, and it was just all working around like a washing machine of joy. And yeah,
Well, what's funny is this is one of the questions I love to ask because, when I call it superpower, and I just, a lot of people don't get it that way, but like, what is it that makes your skin tingle? But I just love how you just said that. That's the way that I'm going to start rephrasing it. It's cool.
And so I was afterwards, I was very honored to be approached. They were like, can you work with me? Can you consult me? I got offered a job. I was like, no, but I'll help you for free. So for about 6 months, I helped people for free because I did not want a business. Like I told you, I was dragged out by the ankles. I'm not kidding. I was hanging on for dear life to not do this. Okay. It was not some pithy of, oh, gee, this is a great idea. I think I'll start a business. No, none of that was happening. And then I was asked and honored by, and so I owe a lot of the gift of my business to the local chamber and a women's group that's connected to them, Women to Women, because then I was asked to be a speaker at their annual conference at the college. And it was an amazing opportunity, an amazing event. And my husband finally just said, suck it up, Buttercup. You got a business, whether you want one or not, and we registered with the state. We registered federally. I got a bank account. I cried. My husband helped me, and we took turns watching YouTube videos on how to build a WordPress website. And then we would pause it and then apply what we learned. And so as a tag team, in between tears, lots of chocolate and caffeine, we built my website. And I had some business cards printed, and bam, Jessica Koch Consulting was born.
Absolutely. That's the story. This is exactly what this series is about, is understanding, even the simple stuff. Listening to you talk about you guys building a website, that is like the stuff that this series is built on, because, the people out there listening are people that are struggling just like that, to say, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm not sure that I want to do this. And you can do it because of these resources are out there. You can do it. You absolutely can do it.
Well,
I just love this.
I would be amiss not to mention, like I said, the amazing women that that organize that women's group in the chamber, and the chamber itself, and the support I got from Beth Graham and Marianne Lanham and Wynn Briscoe at the SBDC. I mean, if you're starting anything and you have not taken advantage of those free services and the consulting in the community and the people that we have here in economic development in both count, and they're just so fantastic. Please, they get so much of my love. And then recently I was nominated for this book series out of DC, and Brianna Bowling nominated me. And just embracing so many people who have supported me on the journey. I know there's a million other of you that I should say thank you to, because they've just done so much to open doors for me. And it's just been so much joy ever since.
Well, and one of the lessons here is, if you're listening to this and you're not in Southern Maryland, that's cool, because here's the thing that I want you to understand. As Jessica's telling you these things, there's resources all over the country that are free, that are supported by grants from the federal government and those types of things. And they're usually through the chamber, or Small Business Administration has organizations, pockets all over the country. And these are free resources that people are professionals that go in and teach classes, have been where you are. They help you do business plans. They help you set up all types of things that you need to get that business going or to get it back on track. So, Jessica speaking about this, the amazing side of it is she's a great one with tools, by the way, too. So if you're looking for tools, Jessica's a great person to reach out to. But we all in the entrepreneurial world have experience with tools. And the one thing that I want to share with you as a commonality through all of this is your local chamber, the Small Business Administration, and your local economic development. If you have such a type of thing, they have resources that are guaranteed to give you the information you need to succeed if you put it in place.
Yeah, find your tribe, find your networking groups, find your cheerleaders, celebrate together. Don't look at it as bragging. Really, let's just lift each other up. Even directly in your same line of industry, I actually have a great story about that. There's a lot of LinkedIn trainers, and I get called in for LinkedIn first before the sales and marketing consulting comes into play, or even my cost reduction service and the auditing of invoices and giving you cash back. I still get called for LinkedIn first. Usually that's not what they need the most, but it's what they call me for. But there's a lot of people who do that, and some I find it interesting because I reach out to collaborate with them all the time, and I get some responses of the, oh, well, I don't think I can interact with you because you're going to take my clients. And then I get the others who are like, oh, I'm so glad. How can we compliment each other? How can we support you?
Right.
Well, you know what's one of the greatest, and I'm going to say her name, Kelly Leonard, and even Mike Sheila, other great LinkedIn local resources. Kelly ended up with a dream job, something she couldn't say no to. And because of her, she had a book full of LinkedIn speaking engagements and things in her calendar, and called me and said, hey, because we had the same open-handed abundance mindset, I then had all these opportunities, all these speaking engagements, and in addition to the ones I had on my own already. But I'm just saying, think abundantly. When you develop your tribe, don't shun out people in your same industry. There's so much we can do for each other, and there's so much business out there, and you just don't know what door it might open for you.
Yeah, and this is a commonality theme in this entrepreneurial series as well. We talked about it. I talked about it yesterday with Kimberly, and a couple of days ago with Michelle Camioni in the real estate world. I've talked about it in the title world because that's where I came from. I've talked about it in I've talked with entrepreneurs about it in several different industries. There may be 1,000 people in your community that do exactly what you do, but number one, they don't do it the way you do it. There's a difference. It's just like watching. And the reason I always ask the question about superpower is because that's what charges that person's business, right? So it may be the exact same industry, but a totally different process and a totally different mindset and skill set because of what charges them. Number one. Number two, your ideal person that you want to work with may be totally different than mine. So the way you're going to talk to them is totally different. So it's okay to jump in. And if you haven't jumped into an arena, whether it's a real estate or it's sales and marketing or it's mortgages or it's car repair or whatever it happens to be, if you haven't jumped in because you said, I'm really great at this and I love it, but there's too many people in my neighborhood that do it, then you are mistaken. You have a problem because you're not giving yourself the credit for the things that you're going to bring. And that's number one. Number two, like you said, the abundance side of it is if you're not sharing with everybody else in your industry, you're doing your industry a disservice because your industry needs all of these different talents to be very successful. I mean, one thing that happened to me in the title world was no one ever shared, ever shared. And it was so painful because when you wanted like someone to help you in a different area because you weren't familiar with the processes in that particular area to give your client the best service, you didn't even know who to call because no one would talk to each other because they were afraid, oh my goodness, we're giving away trade secrets. And eventually, some of those people that had the abundant mindset came out of the woodwork and it made a big difference. But you are more than spot on point here. And I just love that you brought that up. It's so obvious, but so simple to make your business successful.
Well, and interesting enough, there's a lot of stuff about emotional intelligence in the mainstream, but as you develop that, I think that starts to remove. But another great resource for that, even with myself, when I started out and things started to just become really successful, I'm human. I had a hesitation. There was someone in my circle that I was like, oh, that's the same as me. Maybe I'll just just not go out of my way to approach them, right? And when I was still kind of working on that part of me, I worked with Marla Ballard some and the whole theta healing. And I have to tell you, it kind of turned my viewpoint upside down. Not that I didn't always want to collaborate or be abundant, have everyone win. I just really just started to push myself to, I went out of my way to reach out to some of those people where that wouldn't have probably have been how I approached it before. And I want to say hi to Tanya. I see there's a Tanya's on here.
Oh, awesome. Look at you. Very good.
But anyway, I thought that this is the right way to go. And then every time I did it, I was given some sort of blessing, incredible, beyond things I couldn't have even imagined or thought about. And I thought, I'm going to keep this up, because this is working out the right way.
Well, and you bring that up, and it's interesting to hear you say that, because I think one of the things that all of us experience in whatever industry we're in, whether you're getting ready to start a business, you're running a business, or you own the business, is you don't realize, number one, who's watching until somebody says to you, oh, I saw such and such, or, oh, I read such and such that you did. And you're like, wow, I didn't realize that you were paying attention to that, or somebody of your caliber maybe was paying attention. That's number one. But number two, you don't ever, we all need a little bit of the pick me up kind of thing, is somebody else telling you, wow, that was really powerful that you did, because no matter where you are on the scale, whether you're the president or you're running a very successful multi-zillion dollar company, or you're Bill Gates, or you're Jessica and Connie, it doesn't matter where you are in your path. There's a lot of people that are watching. And when those people recognize what you're doing as beneficial and they point it out, it's so powerful. So what I brought that up because I wanted to say to you, it really mattered when you said, maybe there was somebody I didn't want to talk to. And I learned that I really need to talk to those people, and not just people in your industry, but when you go to a networking event, you wanted to be hidden in the whale, right? You didn't want to talk to anybody. And that was probably hard, even for a salesperson. That was probably really hard. But a lot of people are like that. They want to go to a networking event and sit in the corner, and, they'll introduce themselves, but they're not going to go out of their way to meet everybody else in the room. And so give us a little bit about what that should look like and why that matters, and how that, you get that pat on the back a lot of times when you're doing that.
Well, I actually did. Again, I think I'm hoping that I'm growing and improving as a person, but I can remember a day when I was the young sales, young. Yeah, I'm young in my brain right now. So
you are, you're young to us too.
I was new with a company and at a networking event. It was big, and there was a lot of big, powerful people in the room because it was the state chamber event. Man, I was like the bee. I hit every person in that. I got every one of their cards. I paid attention just long enough to make sure I was listening and present and not annoying or car salesman. Not that there's anything wrong with car salesmen out there, but that bad reputation that you get from a sleazy salesperson, that mojo. I did my best, and I made sure, and I felt accomplished. Man, I hit everybody in the room. And now it's interesting. If I go to a networking event, I will just see what comes along. And if I have 3 to 5 really great conversations in a room of 50 people and build a relationship with those people, I'm just as happy as, and probably more so than if I had gone around the room and made sure I got a hello and a card and some sort of information from everybody in the room. So I think that's
really powerful too, the relationship side. That's one thing that people don't seem to understand is, and I talk about this a lot, is people work with people that they know, they like, and they trust. And trust can only be built when people get to know you. And you can only get to know somebody if you build a relationship with them and you pay attention to things that matter to them. So that's really huge.
It's the biggest line and the most important statement in the entire How to Win Friends and Influence People book that I took a long time to learn. I read it and I remember thinking, I don't know how to do that. How do I do that? And the statement is, if you want to be successful, then you have to help other people get what they want. Mm. And I didn't know, how do I help other people get what they want? I don't know what they want. How do I spend my time doing that? And how does that end up making me successful? And I learned that, first of all, the technology that you guys have now, I didn't have. You have it so easy. I'm just going to say that. Okay. You have no complaints. Suck it up, Buttercup, because it's so easy now. You can get Google alerts and know the buying events and know exactly what companies need because they are telling you. You can go to LinkedIn and see the CEO of a corporation you want to work with and know what matters to him. You know his college alumni matters to him. You know what charities he's involved in and boards he sits on. You know what he wants, and you can figure out how to find ways to get those things to him by sending him a message and saying, hey, I see you support the Humane Society. When's their next big charity event and fundraiser? If you share it with me, I'll make sure I make a post and send it out to my people so we can't drive some more traffic there. Or, finding ways to help people get what they want and what they're interested in, and really does have a bang up and authentically and genuinely, and really does convert to great success and open door opportunities for you. I do kind things for people all the time, having no idea what is going to come from it, and things come from it.
Yeah, that's really powerful too. I mean, especially aligning yourself with something that you already like, and how does it? Maybe it's somebody that you want to connect with is aligned in that same volunteerism, charity, or whatever, and you didn't even know it, and now you're using resources to be able to find out that they are. So that's really powerful too, Jeff. Thank you very much for sharing that. So
I have a confession. I did something along the lines that was a little bit. Back in the day, you had to really dig to find these things. And I had a guy, and I really wanted him. It was a matter of principle. I drove by this building. I wanted this client so bad every day, and he wouldn't give me the time of day. I found out the board that he sat on for a charity. Then I found out who else was on the board, and I got the clients of every single other board member and written letters of reference on corporate letterhead from those board members. And I kept slowly reaching back out to that main person, funneling his peers written letters of reference about me in front of him. And I landed that client.
Wow, that's impressive. You wanted that badly.
I did, because I drove by that building every day. I wanted to be a customer.
That's fantastic. Now that's pretty deep. That's a pretty deep. That's good. That's good. That's impressive. So, two things I want to ask you that I like to ask everybody just to wrap up. So, what's the number one thing when somebody meets you? What's the number one question that they ask you? And I ask this because, like I said, one of the things I try to work with people on is helping them know not only what's in their head, the value that they have that other people don't understand, but also to reconnect with things that the people they work with already want to know, because those are the things that you want to talk about and you want to get informational out there. So these things, but I would like for you to share with everybody else. What's the number one thing people ask you?
I think it's two things. One is LinkedIn just if I want a job or I'm trying to find a job, and do I really need to be on it? And the answer is no, it's not just for job hunters. It's for everyone, industry leaders and sales and collaboration. It's like a global chamber of commerce. It's really that connective piece from both collaboration, sales and marketing, referral partners, relationships, and jobs. It's the whole package. The second thing.
Very good one, because I think that is a very common answer. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I get that a lot. And then the second thing I get a lot is I have a good sales process and system, but how do I shorten the cycle? And so I really think shortening, because really there's only so much time in the day. And if you're in a high-end sales and you're trying to maximize your efforts, there's only a couple of things you can do. You can really evaluate what needs your direct hands-on time and then outsource to a virtual assistant and some support the other things. But the other thing you can do is tighten your result percentages. And doing that is really understanding kind of the psychology of the sale, understanding the buying language that specific customer in front of you has, and making sure you have presentations and communication and content emails that speaks the buying language of that specific customer, so that you can really shorten the sale and get them to a yes faster. And that's how you leverage more success without getting more time in your day, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. Okay, and wrapping up, tell me if you're stuck in the elevator with 4 people or 3 other people, there's 4 of you, it was stuck. You can't move. How would you describe what you do in 10 words or less?
I marry the sales and marketing process, the traditional one, with the electronic online resources. So putting together and leveraging that sales and marketing process. That's what I would say.
Nice. Very good. Jess, this has been so fun. I mean, I don't think I laughed as much on the interview. I mean, I have all these visuals of you inside the whale being dragged out and, on your website. And, this has been so fun, but also so enlightening. I mean, that's exactly what this is about, guys, is trying to share information from entrepreneurs that have been where you want to be. People that have struggled, have kids at home, are working from home, have, all of these different things pulling at them, particularly right now. But let's not even talk about that. Let's just talk about the process and the things that you go through to get from there to here. And, are you thinking about this? And, what are the stumbling blocks that you may hit? I like to talk specifically about the big concrete road barriers that you turn down a road and you, like, all of a sudden you can't go because somebody's blocked the road off. So, what do you do to get past that? And that's what these entrepreneurs are telling us. And Jessica has been fantastic in giving us some of those really behind the scenes feelings of some stuff that she really struggled with and the resources that she used and to really tapped into and the feelings that a lot of us already have. And that it's just been incredibly enlightening. Thank you so much for your time, Jessica. I really appreciate you. So if somebody wants to find you,
I want to tell a shameless plug. Finding me is easy. It's my website. And I do have a LinkedIn live webinar class April 17th. And I am approaching, it looks like I have the possibility and I'm putting it out to the universe. We're going to sell that class out. And so I hope they'll check that out and I'll share the link with you. I would love for you guys to PM me. I also am part of a mastermind right now that is fantastic and free. And so I have some other free resources. If people private message me, I'd be happy to give them some information and a couple of links for some free things that they can do.
What time, April 17th?
It is 4:00. We're going to do 4 to 6.
Okay. And that is going to be on your website, the link for that?
I have the link for that on my website.
Excellent. And what's your website?
It's jessicalkoch.com.
Okay. And will you add the link to your website in the comments below? So anybody who wants to get there easily, It's right there. Awesome. Thank you so much. And guys, just like before, we are going to obviously take a break for the weekend. We've got several people lined up for next week that you don't want to miss. So keep your eyes out there. And we will be posting the link to this replay probably Monday morning, maybe later this afternoon. It sort of depends on how the afternoon goes as far as other interviews. And so we'll be posting that so Jessica can share it on her page, but also so you guys can share and get it more information about Jessica and how she can help you jumpstart your business. So Jessica, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you today.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Tanya, for the love.
Yeah, Tanya, thanks for being on. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you, but the print's really small on this side. So I would have answered you afterwards. So if you guys want to check out more on how to work with me, coaching with Connie, ConnieFuksa.com. I like to help people do exactly what we're doing, figure out the value in the things that and figure out how to share those value of those things and tell your story in a way that will drive massive energy into your business. So I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I look forward to talking to you again real soon. Jess, I'll talk to you soon. You guys have a great day.